CFR Network, CFR News. Raphael Gill, Rising Paradise, Love Lights, To the Familiar and the Friends. Another sad case of incompetence via, I would say, based upon me reviewing more of the evidence and seeing some of this body-worn footage. Usually I would be very critical of the police, but they seem to have indeed did and took appropriate measures. And let's rewind time. Raphael was pulled over for allegedly speeding and was detained for having a bit of marijuana on him. He was very fearful of being locked in a cell and was questioning what's going to be happening, etc., based upon he has PTSD and a history of epileptic fits and seizures, etc. So as I say, the police, did their thing in a professional enough manner. Whilst detaining him and having him in handcuffs, he suffered, I think it was 2 seizures in the vehicle. Oh, actually, no. Officers requested an ambulance multiple times. Let's get back to that and let's get into the article. So you would think that another emergency service, i.e. the police, requesting backup from a secondary service, the ambulance, that would have, potentially jumped the queue a little bit and ensured a speedy response. They called multiple times as he had the first of 3 seizures in the back of the police vehicle. I think we'll see if we can play the video, because it was medics arrived to assess, to treat, and to bring this patient into a more clinical environment so they can take care of him. When paramedics arrived, Raphael, who had a history of seizures, was not medically assessed officially. But let's just go straight to the video. Let's see if this will actually play, because it's total incompetence on all kind of levels.
It is around 29-year-old Raphael.
Please, Raphael, King's College Hospital.
Less children.
Relax.
Little staff.
Police who stopped him.
So of every party that we had, he just...
Raphael Gill's mum Karen and his hospital after being arrested.
I remember saying, and I just held him and I said, baby, just wake up. Just wake up.
But it wasn't until they were shown body cam footage of the day that they were able to see how his last hours unfolded.
Should go through that, man. And then the family.
Not long after the initial stop for speeding, Raphael tests positive for COVID. It's clear he's becoming anxious about going into custody.
So we'll have to go on the cell ticket. Probably not.
Seizures and PTSD.
We know you've had an epileptic fit yourself before.
Yeah, please, sir. We'll try not to. We're going to try not to.
A few minutes later, he has his first seizure. Another phone's for the ambulance. Over the next 15 minutes, he suffers 2 more.
minutes.
It's all right.
19.
Another seizure.
The police call to ask where the ambulance was the wrong location.
Epileptic.
Actually incorrectly briefed. He doesn't assess him as an emergency. Feel. Colleague, he was arrested.
That's supposed to mean anything.
This. Said it's for talking. Police begin.
Customers.
Which one?
He's put into the ambulance.
You just said, and not reacted quick enough to say,
especially the medical professionals.
Threatening situation. So it was really, really painful.
About them thinking he was pretending to have seizures and be okay. And even if they thought he was lying, they should have done. That's what they trained to do. And they didn't.
Raphael is taken to Lewis seizure.
60
Worth
minutes.
listening to the police conversation as to whether Raphael had been faking it all.
I don't think he was faking it.
Yeah.
There's still niggling doubt over whether this all might have been faked. He has taken the police officers who first stopped him hand over to the next shift. He is then left 96
You're gonna have to help us, mate.
2 hours,
only then
2.5
seen by a doctor
hours.
and moved
Look
into
at
a
this.
cubicle.
Okay.
But Raphael fears the worst.
No. Relax.
Officers are clearly thrown by the fact no medical staff dies after his sixth seizure.
To stop having nightmares of him calling out and saying, it's almost like I'm dying, I'm dying.
Total
The inquest found the
incompetence.
taken alongside prescribed medication.
Okay,
Coroner said
that's
there were
B.
several matters of concern. The fact Raphael had been arrested unduly influenced the assessment of
Indeed.
urgency by the London ambulance, lights and sirens.
What?
And the most senior clinician drove, so was not on hand to provide emergency treatment, which the technician was uncrew were not aware the combination of seizures and cocaine should have been seen as a medical emergency. The inquest jury, their record of inquest here, treatment contributed to death. But the coroner got to hospital. The family, however, agree with that initial assessment. They believe the delay was a factor in Raphael's
I'll
death.
stop it there.
Excessive.
It was all said. You saw the imagery. You even saw him arrive in on a stretcher and is then in a seated position in the waiting room in the triage area. How are you getting brought in an ambulance for multiple seizures, and then you sat down, not even in a private cubicle, you sat down waiting to be seen? 96 minutes. What were you doing here? This is an indictment on society and the lack of professionalism and judging situations rather than judging what you're there to do, which is to save lives. So what if he was in police custody? What's that got to do with anything? And you may have been in situations before where people have tried to fake incidents to go to hospital, and that, of course, that happens. You identify if it's true or not, and you treat the person if necessary. Well, this person needs to be taken. The paramedics, with the air quotes, that dude, we need to find his name. He needs to be put on trial. His livelihood needs to be taken away from him, and he needs to potentially serve prison time for this year, and some fines, because that's dereliction of duty right there. Hippocratic oath. You have a career and a profession in saving and helping people to live, and this is the kind of thing that people are doing. Okay, well, as I say, there should be every action has a equal and opposite reaction. So he's done something, so I think he needs to be judged upon his actions and his deeds, and the appropriate thing should most definitely take place. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend.